Okay,
All
I
right.
see
Hi.
that.
My name is Jesse Ayers. I'm the host of Echoes of Society. The name of Echo Society came from basically there's a lot of us who are not in the forefront. We're not in, the news, the tabloids, or, CEOs of businesses, but we're the echoes of society. We're basically what people may have left as discarded or unwanted, but we're still here. We're existing and we're rising up to the potential that we could or should have been, in our original form. I believe as a human being with the
Mhm.
right environment, with the right encouragement and the right tools, anybody can be the best version of themselves. And I believe that
Absolutely.
volunteers like yourself, coming in and helping us at San Quentin. For those who don't know, this is Cori Thomas. She started the San Quentin Film Festival, among many other projects. I've never personally got to work with Cori, but she was kind enough to meet me here today and work through the struggles of Zoom to get this thing going. She's actually in Portugal right now, which is 9 hours ahead of me. I'm in California. It's roughly 1:15, 1:20. So it's about
Mhm.
9:20 her time. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Cori.
My pleasure.
So how did you get started as a volunteer in San Quentin for those who don't know you?
Originally, I came in with two producers because I'm a writer. I was a playwright and a screenwriter. That's what I did. And so they had hired me to write narration for a podcast series that they were going to do. It wasn't like Ear Hustle, it was going to be a fiction type podcast series, but it was there. One of the characters was going to be set in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never even been in a prison at that point in my life. So I said, how can I write about something I don't even know? I've never been there. So the producer knew. Do you remember Roz, who used to work with, she used to do radio? Was her name Roz? I think her name was Roz.
Oh no, I don't think I met her. You're talking about San Quentin Radio. They were the first little
Yeah,
thing in the
yeah,
front.
yeah. I think she worked there, but I'm not sure. But anyway, the producer knew her. And so she arranged for us to come in. So I would have the opportunity to see a prison, to go into a prison. And I'm not going to lie, I walked in with very low expectations. I mean, I really did. I walked in like with my guard up, expecting, people were going to be coming to me all sorts of sort of hustling ways and whatever. And nobody matched those expectations. It was not what I expected. And
Yeah.
then I had to just stop and think about it. And I wondered, like, why did you prejudge a whole group of people before you even had the chance to meet them? And I realized that it was because of what we've sort of been taught to think by the media, by movies and TV shows and whatever it is that's gone on for years. So and I'm pretty, open minded, well traveled, know all sorts of people from all walks of life. Consider myself, to be friendly and open to all people, walked in with that way. So I felt really ashamed. And I realized that if I didn't know better, then imagine what most of the other people think, you
Yeah.
know. And so it just became almost like a mission of mine to try to change the perception of people who are incarcerated, change the perception on the outside. And the only way I could do it was by sort of allowing people who are incarcerated to be seen, as people, because I had that opportunity now to see people as people. And the minute you do that, you stop just thinking of a whole group of people and sort of categorizing them. So I think
Yeah.
that's really what happened. I mean, and that first day, I met Lonnie Morris. Do you remember Lonnie?
Yep.
So Lonnie runs a program called No More Tears, which is a violence prevention program.
Yep.
And so he was talking with me and he asked me what I did. And I told him I'm a writer, I'm a playwright, whatever. And he said, oh, in our program, No More Tears, we did a play once and it was really effective. Seeing something played out really worked in a way that sometimes just talking doesn't.
Yeah.
So he said, would you be interested in maybe writing a play with me to be done in my program? So I was like, sure, why not? And so anyway, that's how I came in. And I came in to start working with him. And so we were working on a play. I was like interviewing guys, and then I would transcribe the interviews.
Yep.
And as I got to know Lonnie and heard his story, I started to think like, wow, his story is kind of, I've never seen a play about somebody like that. You know, usually you see somebody on death row or somebody who's wrongfully incarcerated, and it's not like those people don't exist, but I was like, I've never seen a play about somebody who did do something, who owns it, who's taken accountability, and is actually working on helping other people to change their lives,
Yes.
almost as penance in a way. And it just kind of moved me. And I thought like, and his, you know, the nature of the reason why he was there was such. He had been, I think, before the parole board, like when I met him it was like 18 times. He
Yeah.
ended up going 23 times before he ended up getting out.
Dang.
So, you know, I was just like, why wouldn't someone like this who's spent this much time and done this good, why can't they get out? So I wanted to just write a very accurate play about him, and not whitewash it, not try to dumb it down, not try to make him look like a saint or anything like that, and see if people would see him as I saw him, which was somebody who is doing good and who ought to be out, you know.
Yeah.
And so I did. I wrote a play, and it was done off Broadway in New York, and it
Wow.
did really well. It was published and everything. So, but anyway, that's just how my journey started, you
Yeah.
know. And before I had started that, before my playwriting and screenwriting career took off, I worked at Tribeca Films and Tribeca Film Festival for 17 years. I worked with the woman who founded it, whose idea it was. And
Dang.
so I think it was sort of already, you know, part of my DNA. I'd been to so many film festivals over the years. I helped her, I'd help her get ready, I'd help her write her speeches, listen to her, rehearse her speeches, whatever it was. And so one day found out I was a writer, and they started giving me their works to read. People would give
Mhm.
me their plays or their screenplays or their stories or their essays, and I would read it and give people feedback there. It was just sort of this unofficial thing I was doing in the media center. And one day someone had just given me something to read. Somebody handed me something to read. And then someone was waiting to give me something to read after that guy. And I blurted out, we should have a film festival in here.
Yeah.
And Rasan Thomas happened to be standing
Mhm.
nearby, and he said, are you serious? And
Yep.
I said, I am, because it's something I had thought about, but I hadn't actually said it out loud there. I had actually said it to a few people, but it was like something I didn't think was possible, you know? So I said it, and he said, are you serious? And I said, yes, but can that even be done here? Can something like that be done here? And he said, well, I mean, nobody really knew what I was talking about, because I began to describe what it was I wanted to do. I was like, I want a film festival. I want to have jurors. I want to have professional people seeing the work of people here. I want to have a red carpet. I want people to come in. Nobody knew what I was talking about, but
Hmm.
I wanted it to be a real, quote unquote, real film festival, like what I was accustomed
Yep.
to. And
Yep.
so he's like, well, I've planned and organized a lot of events in here in the prison. So the first thing is we have to write a proposal. So anyway, that's how he became the co-founder. We sat down and we literally together, you know, hashed it out, came up with the plan. This is what we do. This is how we're going to do it. Da, da, da. And then the next step was for me to go to Sam Robinson, who was the PIO at the time, and
Yep.
ask him if he would approve it. So I'm now explaining it to him. He didn't really know what I was talking about either. He was looking at me like, you know, she's a little kooky or whatever. I don't know what she's talking about. And then I think he then, you know, but he said, well, it sounds kind of good. Let me think about it, whatever. And then he went in, and I guess he saw Rasan, who also told him, she wants to do it, and I think it's a good idea, and we should do it. And then Lonnie said, no, she's cool. She knows what she's talking about. She actually has worked in this industry. So if she says she's going to do it, she'll do it, and she'll do it right or whatever. So anyway, that's really how it came about. And then
Yeah.
it took us like 5 years to get it actually approved by the administration. Because I mean, the prison approved it, but then Sacramento had to approve it.
Mm,
So that took about 5 years because of, and it was also because of the pandemic. And then Sam Robinson retired. So then there was
yep.
a new PIO. So I had to go through the whole process again of going into her and explaining to her. And she's looking at me. I don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
literally it was like that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's how it came to be.
Just for context and for like a timeline for people, when was the time that you from now, to when was the
From,
first time you went into San Quentin?
oh, the first time I ever went into San Quentin was, I remember even the actual date. It was September 12th, 2016.
Yeah. So at that time, like you said, nobody met those markers in your head, right?
No,
of what
no,
to expect.
not
Um,
at all.
yeah.
Nobody. And to this day, nobody has.
No,
To this day.
and same thing, I would say for me, I went there in 2018, and you always have an expectation of what incarceration is like. One of
Yeah.
my friends who encouraged me to do this, he goes, bro, I want you to tell stories about prison, like what it's really like. He goes, because for somebody like me, he goes, and it may sound weird, but he goes, I kind of want to live through your shoes. I want to see what you
Uh-huh.
saw and experience what you experienced through you without ever having to go there. And what better way to do that than film, right? I mean,
Right, of
it it,
course.
it encourages and stimulates so many emotions and feelings and
Yeah.
thoughts, and provocative.
Totally,
Right.
totally, totally. Well,
So
that's why Ear Hustle, I think, is so popular because it
yeah,
kind of takes you behind the walls and you
yeah,
get to meet people who are actually incarcerated in prison, and they tell their stories and they're such humane, you see people as humans,
yeah,
basically. I mean, I think that was what my goal was. I mean, and what happened is as I began to spend more time in the media center and I started to see people's work, I mean, I started to see literally how talented people actually were.
yeah,
And it became this thing where I wanted people I knew on the outside to see their work because I had the opportunity to see it. So that's why I was like, we should have a film festival, because I was trying to figure out how on earth can I get people on the outside to see the work of the people on the inside. I can't think of any other way. So
yeah,
that was how it kind of came about, was I wanted to kind of bridge that gap. And I was thinking of it, some of the guys, filmmakers who are there that I've met are just so talented. Like
yeah,
they're as good as anyone I've met who's working professionally. And
yeah,
so I want to try to facilitate a situation so that when they get out, they could get a job. They could actually work. They can
yeah,
tell their stories, because I was like, part of the reason I walked in and prejudged people was because I'm so accustomed to seeing stories being told by people who have no clue and who've never stepped foot in a prison, which is why I was so like, I want to write it accurately with the like being there. I mean, I was there like every day, all day while I was researching and writing that play, every
yeah.
day. So I wanted, and I mean, I remember Erlon gave me vocabulary lessons. Like he would teach me one prison slang word a day, and then I'd have to stand up and he'd quiz me. I mean,
Yep.
everyone sort of, I explained, I just wanted to be very accurate. So Lonnie read every single draft just to make sure. And I mean, the first draft was like X's, this is dumb. What is that? I mean, he was like merciless with me, but it was good. I mean, he just said, write it again. It's not right. It's write it again. I
Yep.
mean, and people kind of made me do the work. Like nobody was like helping me or whatever. They were like, you do it, but just research and do it. So it was like, I mean, I felt really proud of the work at the end because I'd
Yeah.
done it, but I'd done it with actually the collaboration and help of people who were open to me.
Yeah.
So
As a writer, that feedback's invaluable. Like, you know what I mean? Like that
yes,
person is your best friend in the world. It may sound like
yes,
crucial,
yes.
but it may sound like crude, but it's very crucial, to have that.
It is. And it was like, and I just wanted to honor people who had actually, they gave themselves to me. So I wanted to give myself to them. Hello?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Do we
you're
get?
there. I don't know. I did something, but let me see. Oh, there you are.
I could hear you, but you froze for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, for a moment it went off. Yeah. So,
No. So, uh, I remember hearing like like you said, COVID happened. I had been down in the media center, involved with Erlon and the Ear Hustle, and
Mm-hmm.
Banks. Antoine was the first
Yes.
person to give me feedback on a play I wrote for Marin Shakespeare, and
Uh-huh.
basically saying, like I said, what do you think about the dialogue? He goes, well, it's spot on. And I said, oh,
Uh-huh.
cool. He goes, no, no, no. He goes, you don't want that. He goes, in actual conversation, you don't want to say, how are you today? Oh, I'm doing great. How are you? He was like, man, he goes, somebody's going to be like, man, he goes, that's real. And I said, so I took those notes just like Lonnie did for you,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
rewrote it. And I think what was the one that was called Signs, Happy Signs or something like that with the Rasan
What
did
was it? Was a show?
with the sign language. Well, it was
Oh yeah, yeah, friendly signs.
friendly
Friendly
signs. So
signs.
right before COVID, I remember we were doing like B-roll footage. We were in a classroom. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was an
Mm-hmm.
extra. He was just like, hey, can you be in the shot? We're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to submit this for the film festival. And I remember asking, well, what happened? He was sending it somewhere.
Okay.
I think to Sundance or something. I
Oh,
can't, or
okay.
somewhere. And I said, well, what happened with that? And he goes, oh, well, we didn't meet the deadline, but we're going to try again. And then, like I said, I think I remember COVID happening and then coming back after that. I think Robinson had retired. I think I forgot her name, Miss Barry or
Yes,
Perryman or something
Lieutenant
like that.
Barry.
Yeah,
Lieutenant Barry is the new PIO.
yeah, yeah. So,
So literally, the film festival exists because of Lieutenant Barry, because
well,
she took over by the time it finally got approved. So she had to first approve it,
yeah,
reapprove it, and say, I'll do it. And so it's really been something that's been under her wing. So
yeah,
she's been crucial to it happening there. So we couldn't do it without her. But we do have Sam Robinson working with us. He's part of
yeah.
our team.
Awesome.
So it's like the perfect team there.
Yep. And for people who don't know, when Sam's listening to you, it's you were saying like he might think I'm kind of kooky or something, but I think his brain is more logistic. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
thinking, how
yeah,
can
it
I
is.
connect
It
the dots?
is.
How can I do this? He's very thoughtful, very kind,
And I
very
think he just
smart.
has a good instinct and sense of,
Yes.
okay, there's something that makes sense here. I mean,
Yeah.
he has sometimes you speak to him about something and he's like, well, no, it can't be like that, but there's something there that I like. And so it can work
Yeah.
out, but it has to be more like this. And then, you know what I mean? Like, so he's really smart and he understands. What's wonderful is that he does understand both worlds in a way,
Yeah.
and he understands the politics of the prison, the administration, how to do something there. But
Yeah.
he also worked there for so many years. He knows the people, he knows the rules, he knows how it is really. So it's really a wonderful, wonderful gift that he's able to work with us.
Yeah. And the work he did with Antoine and Erlon and
Uh-huh.
Nigel, with Ear Hustle and the opportunities
Yeah.
that they created, and provided, I think are amazing. But one of the unspoken people in the back was Brian Acey. He was the
Oh,
first
Brian
person.
is fantastic. Are you kidding? Brian's been part of our team too, and Brian works with us too.
Yep.
So, Brian, I mean, yes, Brian was there that first day, and Brian was there in the early planning meetings.
Yep.
Because we would have meetings back there. I mean, like I said, it took years, but Brian was always there, and he's very crucial and important to the work that we're doing, because now
Yeah.
we're starting to expand. Other prisons are starting to ask us to come
Mm-hmm.
there. So that, for instance, in March, we're going to go to Chowchilla and
Oh,
do a
awesome.
film festival there. And
Yeah.
then Brian and I went and visited CRM.
Yep.
When was it? We went in September and we spent a day there, and it was wonderful. We went and we visited their media center. It was
Mm.
like off the grid. Nobody knew they have a media center and they're doing amazing work there. They really are doing amazing, amazing work.
That's
So
cool.
we went and we spent a day there. And so it's just been really cool. And I think they're like, I was like, you all now need to make some films and submit it to us next year. So they're like, we will.
Yep.
So that's really exciting.
It's funny you mentioned Chowchilla because in 2016 I was in Chowchilla, and with the VSP, the men's prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they had just started a media lab and they were doing a talent
Mm-hmm.
show, and there was a lot of rappers and rock singers and
Mm-hmm.
some dancers. And one of the guys, because I've always been personable and funny and telling jokes, it just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
not thinking that I could ever do like stand-up comedy, right?
Uh-huh.
One of the guys there goes, "Hey, bro, you should do comedy." And I remember looking at the sign-up sheet thinking, "There's no way
You
I'm
don't
going to
mean
sign up."
Chowchilla, though. Chowchilla is the women's prison.
Well, there's two there. There's one is called VSP, Valley State
Oh,
Prison.
oh,
They're
Valley
both used to
State.
be women's.
Okay, okay, Valley State. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
I know
they
what you mean.
converted they were both women's. They converted one to a men's, and then
Right.
now
Okay.
it's a youth program basically.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
what
I
like the
got
older people there, they wanted us to be mentors. And they
you.
had, like I said, they had just started in the media center, and we were doing a talent show, and it did some comedy, and they were going to come up with some scripts, and I was taking a screenwriting class, and there was a guy
Uh-huh.
there that was incarcerated that actually used to work for Disney, and
Oh,
he had done a lot of sequels like Little Mermaid 2, Lion King Part 2,
okay. Okay.
and he actually had his script sent in and was showing us, and we were like fascinated, like, wow, you actually did this
Yeah.
for a living. So learning, all the basics and where to hit your marks, and just structure and everything that goes along with driving the character, and moving the story forward. And so those
Right.
basic
Right.
things, when I got to San Quentin and got into Shakespeare, and like I felt like you're saying, playwriting is really amazing. But and I say a huge but. I mean not Erlon, sorry,
Thanks.
Rasan Thomas, you mentioned him
Oh,
earlier. He was the first person that at least spoke to me in a way that said, we want to be in control of our own narrative. We're tired of
uh-huh.
the media telling our stories, of movies
Right.
portraying us as a certain kind of way, and we want people to see us the way we are, not the way
Uh-huh.
they imagine us being. So everything you're saying is like full circle with that. And like I said, I've never met anybody who ever spoke that way. So I was fascinated by his work. He worked at the newspaper, but then he got more involved with Ear Hustle, and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
everything you guys are doing. He just really skyrocketed and took off in this direction. So, and then I saw him running the marathon, so I couldn't be more proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
Markel Gazelle ran that
Yeah,
Boston
yeah, yeah,
Marathon.
yeah, yeah.
So
And then they
there's
ran the New York Marathon.
oh awesome! I
They
didn't know he
both
did that.
finished the New York Marathon. They
Yeah.
did the New York one too. Yeah.
And then what everybody calls them like prime time or Showtime Taylor.
Showtime, Aaron
Yeah.
Showtime.
So
Yes.
we had commentated a basketball game together before COVID, and then during COVID he paroled. But
Mm-hmm.
I got there a little too late for the cue ball, so I've
Okay.
gotten a
Okay.
chance to see it. But it would have been cool because we had some good chemistry on the. He did
He's
the
in
play by
LA
play.
now, He's in LA.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think he's doing some work. I don't know if it's at a school. I don't know if it's a high school or a youth. I don't know. Somewhere he's doing some work. I can
Yeah.
put you in touch with him if you'd like.
Okay. But like I was gonna say, people, will look at. So he was on the Kelly Clarkson show, and I think he said himself,
Yes.
like, I'm not an anomaly. It's like there's more people like me. You may not see
Right.
them in the forefront, you may not see them on TV, but they're doing great work. So what you explained about your screenplay with Lonnie, to me, is really amazing and profound and wonderful for you to do that, because those types of stories don't always sell box office seats. They're not as
Right.
people want to see a lot of audiences. I find, well, as a writer or as a comedian or just as a viewer of film myself, you want a reason to root for the person, either the
Uh-huh.
hero,
Uh-huh.
or you want a reason to be tied into the anti-hero. What connects you on some level? Have you been through the
Right.
similar event, or can you feel their pain? And then you can go along with the story. And if not, most people will turn it off. So if
Right.
you hear about somebody who did certain things, I think Lonnie, he was very, very young at the time when he committed
Yes, he
his crime.
was. He was young. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it involved an officer and the way that things
Mm-hmm.
happened, like,
Mm-hmm.
people just didn't get paroled for those types of crimes,
No, no, no.
ever.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
you either
Not at
got the death
all.
penalty or you're going to get life without parole. So not only does it show that the state has changed, the laws have leaned in a sense to say, hey, we understand that you're young and dumb and you made these mistakes, and your upbringing and your situation and your environment really had you set wrong. But thank God for the volunteers who do come in and into
Mm-hmm.
prisons to like humanize us, I'd say, and give us an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to see who we are, our talents, our gifts. And I think
Mm-hmm.
once you start seeing your strengths and talents and gifts, you start, obviously you just elevate. It's like helium to a
Right. Of
balloon,
course. Of course. Of
so
course.
and I really love that and appreciate that, not just from yourself, but everybody that you've worked with. Like, for example, not to name drop celebrities and stuff, but like, who are some of the people who bought in and said, "Yeah, I believe it. I love these stories," and have come in to the film festivals that really have amazed you, or
Well,
some
I
of
mean, we've
the
had all
people?
sorts of people coming in. I mean, of course, I'm blanking right now. No, I can't think of a blessed person. Who has come in? Let me think. Last year, for instance, we had Kerry Washington
Yep,
came,
yep,
and Jerry Seinfeld came,
yep,
and Taylor Hackford. He directed Officer and a Gentleman.
yep.
He came. Um, who else? I'm trying to think who else was there. And this year too. Who were the people who were there? Um, I don't know. My mind is blank. Whenever, it's like when someone asks you to sing a song, you're like,
Yeah.
you can't think of any song. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of like now
No,
my brain
hey,
is.
you had me at Kerry Washington. But and Jerry Seinfeld too, because like I said, I've been out for over 3 years, about 3.5 years, and I don't keep up with. I'm out here in the Central Valley, so I don't keep up with everybody that's in LA or that's in the Bay Area the way I
Mhm.
could or should. I have family here, and everyday things and life and work, and
Are you near Chowchilla? Because that's
um,
Central Valley,
I'm
isn't it?
probably about 45 minutes. Yeah,
Okay, all right. So you're in that area.
yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't get to keep up with everything that's been happening, but Rasan posts a lot on Instagram, so I'll see him on there, and some of the stuff that he's doing. And then I had seen there was a friend of mine that I met in Chowchilla. He's an author, and he started making films and stuff. He was working on basically some AI to create a trailer for the animated script that I had written. And then
Right. Yeah,
his
you
mom,
told me about that.
yeah, his mom's house
Mhm.
burned down,
Oh
and
gosh.
sadly, like that is as horrific as it can get. So he's asked me
Right.
for some time, like to work on it. I don't have the
Hmm, hmm.
technology or the means to do it. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get that submitted next time.
Right.
But
Yes, I hope so. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
but I
awesome.
was going on the website to see that the upcoming one that's going to be next year, and then I remember it had listed some celebrities or something, and I
Yeah, those
wasn't
were, I
sure if it
think,
was
the
talking about.
jurors. Yeah, we had Vanessa Williams, we had Jesse Williams,
Yep.
no relation. We had who else did we have? I don't know. Like I said, Deborah Winger.
Yeah.
Um, who else did we
I
have?
just saw her recently on TCM. She was introducing a movie, and so they were
Uh-huh.
talking to her about, yeah, and she's been in some amazing films, like some of the
Oh
best
yeah,
best
she's a
films of all
great
time.
actress. Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
really great actress. I don't know. I just can't think of anyone. For some reason, whenever I'm put on the spot and have to think of names, my mind goes completely blank. But no, but the thing is we've been really lucky. And I mean the people who have come have loved coming. Some of them come back. They come back because they are like, this is my favorite film festival. And
Yeah.
these are people who go to a lot of film festivals. And so there's something very heartwarming about it because it's like a party, but
Yeah.
it's in the prison. And, I make it a point. I have a band. I have music. We have food. We have a red carpet. Just like I was like, there has to be a red carpet. And I
Yeah.
remember the first day last year, because we had a really short time to plan it. And I was like, we have to have a red carpet. So it was whatever, but somehow it got lost in the shuffle and it got to the day before. And I was like, where's the red carpet? Oh, we forgot. And I was like, what? We
Mm.
have to have a red carpet. So I remember Brian, bless his heart, Brian went all around the place and he went to a carpet store and found a red remnant. So it wasn't a long red carpet. I was like, even if you get a bath mat, I don't care. I just want
Yeah.
something red
And
on
it
the
better be
floor.
red.
And so he found a nice sized red remnant. And so, we had a red carpet and
Yeah.
we had to step and repeat, that thing that you stand in front of to take the picture. So we had that. So
Ah.
it was great, So this year we had a fantastic red carpet and a bigger step and repeat, and everything was a little bit more,
Hmm.
put together, but it was great. But I
That's
still
awesome.
remember Brian went everywhere and found a piece of red carpet because I was like,
Hmm.
we have to have it.
Just for people who don't know, or this sounds like Alice in Wonderland or something, to them, but like having a film festival and food and a red carpet in a prison.
In a
Like,
prison.
what does it take to get like? Did the chow hall provide the food, or was food brought in?
No, well, last year we didn't have much of a budget because we didn't have a whole lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
So we provided state lunches for people coming in,
Yep.
which, they wrote a lot about in the articles that were written about the film festival. Because the other thing was we thought they were going to bring the peanut butter and they
Yep.
didn't. They brought the mystery meat one. So
Ah.
it was a little like everyone was like, oh my goodness. But this year we had some donations. We had raised some money so that we were able to go to a caterer and we had, sandwiches brought in. But we did also provide some state lunches for anyone who wants them.
Right.
Because it was such a big deal. I mean, it was like we didn't have a huge amount of them, but they were there in case. Because I was like, we need to hold true to our roots. And I
Yeah.
mean, I kind of felt like, you know what? This is a prison. This is what people have to eat here. People should recognize what people eat.
Yeah.
This is what everyone eats here. So,
For those for those for those who may want to know, how's the food?
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So,
And so is this going to be yearly? Every year, you guys are planning on
well,
having a
that's
film
the
festival?
dream and that's the hope. So far, it's gone well enough that it's, been approved each time. So
Yeah.
it looks like it's happening again this coming year. So I think
Yeah.
it'll be an annual thing, hopefully.
I don't know the guy's name who started the Austin Film Festival. But I remember thinking that it was a really cool idea that a guy who wasn't, LA wasn't his cup of tea, and he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to encourage filmmakers and started the Austin Film Festival. To me, sounded really cool. And then I think when Robert Redford passed, I read
Mm-hmm.
extensively about his life and what he'd been
And
doing. And
Sundance, of course, that
when
was
I found
his.
out,
Yeah.
yeah, about Sundance and how he felt passionate, he wanted to create that opportunity for others to be creative.
Sure, sure.
So as much as they've impacted the world and as profound of an artist as they are, I think you've done the same thing for San Quentin. So I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
you so much.
I mean, I feel like, great film festivals sometimes come out of like the Tribeca Film Festival, which is the one I know. I mean, that came out of 9/11. What happened?
Eh,
I mean, I worked for Jane Rosenthal, who founded the Tribeca Film Festival and is Robert De Niro's business partner at Tribeca, producing partner. And what happened is after September 11, no one wanted to go downtown. And so she was like, how can we get people downtown? Let's have a film festival and let's invite all our friends. And that's how they did the first film festival. And then it did
wow.
so well. It's like, well, let's do it again. And it's become one of the most important film festivals in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my history and like entree into film festivals was something being done for an altruistic reason,
Yeah.
to help out the people there, to help the community, to help bring people to the community so that the restaurants and the shops and whatever would get business again, and to give their friends who are filmmakers an opportunity to show their work. And
Yep.
so it's kind of the same thing. It's an opportunity to bring the outside inside so that they can meet the people on the inside, get to see their work. Hopefully, it'll lead to future work, collaborations. It will lead to people understanding that incarcerated people are capable of telling their own stories because
Yeah.
they're talented and because they're able to make films. So, I
Yeah.
think it just has a lot of reverberations, basically. Like it just keeps echoing and
Yeah.
echoing. Isn't that the name of your show?
Yeah. That's the exact point. You know, to be raised, I don't want to say raised in the juvenile system, but I started getting incarcerated at a very young age. I was arrested at 6 years old for, a petty
Wow.
theft burglary, and then
Mm-hmm.
that goes on and on through juvenile hall and the youth authority and then jail and then prison. And to
Mm.
get to a place like San Quentin where you don't see people having to act tough or be tough. Don't get me wrong, there
Mm-hmm.
are tough people there, and some of
Right.
them do talk tough and act tough, but to not have to was a
Right.
huge thing where you
Mm.
don't have to be this person or this character, right, that you've
Mm.
developed to like ward off other bad people, right, to not have to do that, to me was so amazing because all these other little parts of you get to come out. You know what I mean? And some of the best
Right.
parts are the ones that you described. You know, Lonnie, Erlon, Antoine, Brian, Rasan, um, Juan, in the newspaper.
Juan, yes, Juan is still there.
These dudes,
Yes.
these dudes are my mentors and my teachers and my
No,
helpers. And
and you know that we lost Wally, right?
yes, yes,
That
yes,
was
yes.
so sad. That was so heartbreaking.
He was Wally was a guy that would smile and he'd laugh if it was funny, and he'd tell you the truth. Like if it
Yeah, he
wasn't,
was a great person. He was
yeah,
just a great human. I loved him. I really
yeah,
liked him so much. And I was so thankful and feel blessed that when he got out, like he would stay in touch. Like we'd have these
mhm,
conversations or we'd text and he would send me pictures and he'd let me know what he was doing. And so I'm just so
yeah.
touched that, I was able to stay in touch with him.
I always remember uh because he was so busy. Like I'd get to talk to him, but it was in pieces and parts, and his schedule was very demanding. And if people can't
Hmm.
understand that in a prison, like he was,
Right.
he
Right,
was.
exactly.
Yes, but there was a moment where we were both headed through that little gate by the basketball court back to the media
Yes.
center, and an alarm went off, so we had everybody had to
Oh,
get
I
out.
get down.
So
Yeah.
we're sitting down, and the alarm just went on and on and on and on, and it must have been a medical thing because it was like 30 or 45 minutes. They finally
Wow.
killed the alarm, and so it was deadly quiet, and we got to talk, and I just got to listen
Mhm.
to him just talk about everything nonstop for a really long time, and I've never forgot that conversation or how animated he was or how honest or truthful. And it was prior to him getting confirmed that he was going home, so he wasn't sure that he was going to go home, but he knew that I was
Mm,
gonna, and just how encouraging and positive he was. That man was very powerful in so many different ways, and he's left an impression on me that is never going to go away. So
right, right. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
yeah,
Yeah, he was really a very, very special person. I don't think there's anyone who met him who didn't like feel kind of touched by somebody special. He just had this wonderful smile too.
yep, always.
Because I was here in Portugal when he got out, and I called him the day he got out. I called him on FaceTime, and I just did a screenshot of this. It was like his big smile
Mm,
takes up the whole screen, and it's just like my favorite picture of him. I mean, a few people were like, "Can you send me that picture of Wally?" Because it was just such a beautiful. It just captured his beautiful spirit.
yeah. No, and I really appreciate your time and everything you've shared with us. And I know it's getting late over there in Portugal, so we're gonna have to go at some time. But if there's ever any updates or anything new or any stories or anything you want to
Mhm.
share, let me know and we could do a
I
part two.
will. I
And
definitely will.
no,
Thank
and I
you.
really
Thank you
appreciate
so
this. And
much.
I can see why, like, something in the universe like kept us in contact to this point
Yeah,
now.
no, I'm so glad to speak with you.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, I
so
remember you. I remember your face. I don't think we ever actually spoke or, maybe except for hi or whatever, but I
yeah.
remember you.
Yep.
So,
And when you mentioned Lonnie, I was like, they just clicked in my head. Now I always remember you off to the side talking with Lonnie or over here
yeah,
sitting
we were
down.
always sitting there.
Yep.
Lonnie and I would be sitting, and behind us was Erlon and Nigel. And they were always telling us to keep it down. And so we'd always and I'd always be like, what are you guys doing anyway? And they're like, we're doing a podcast. And I was like,
Right.
a podcast?
You could edit that out.
I know.
uh, I felt so bad for the quietness. Everybody had to be quiet everywhere. And then they would forget to take the sign off that they weren't recording anymore. And
I
somebody come in
know,
and go,
I
can
know,
we
I
talk now?
know. But that's after they had their little room made. Was the room there when you were there? Because when I first started, that little room wasn't even there. They were just in the same room.
I I heard stories about it and I saw some video of it, but when I got there, they
Okay.
had the middle room. It was kind of like
Okay.
some
They already
drywall
had that
stuff
middle
with a
room.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you remember Banks also used to do drawings of all the
Yep.
episodes.
Yep.
So I
He
love that.
Banks is
He's
definitely
very
another.
talented. Banks is like one of the most multi-talented humans I've ever met. He's
Yeah.
talented in many areas.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful filmmaker as well. Really,
Yeah.
really wonderful filmmaker. He's very talented.
Oh, that
He
was the
can
comment.
paint, draw, he does everything.
That was a comment I was going to mention earlier when you were talking about when the first time you presented it to Sam Robinson about the film festival. That or to anybody in general, like, and when Lonnie confirmed, like, hey, if she said she's going to bring a red carpet, she's going to bring a red carpet. Like they
Right.
couldn't see what you saw. And I feel
Right.
like Banks was somebody who, when he got out, he came back in for the first time to the chapel. And I seen him, I went to shake his hand, and he leaned in, his shoulder touched my shoulder, and his forehead touched my forehead. And it wasn't like we hugged, but there was like a moment. And I always
Uh-huh.
felt like that guy, when he said something, I could see what he was saying. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right,
he
right.
has such a strong vision that
Yeah,
I
he
don't think
does.
everybody can see it or comprehend how multifaceted and talented he is. Obviously, you can, but that
Yeah.
dude is so amazing.
Yeah, he's very
He,
deep and he's a very thoughtful,
oh yeah,
wise person. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
very thoughtful person. I've admired him for many, many years. I think he's just a really very special person
yeah.
and he has a lot to offer. And I mean, he's very talented,
and
like
and
I
it,
said.
yeah, he's somebody you could see across the prison yard, and you would know there was something about him, an air about him, or an aura
Yeah,
that just
yeah,
felt different. You know what I mean? You knew
yeah,
this was
yeah.
somebody special.
Hmm.
And it wasn't just the tailored clothes. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
tailored prison clothes
He's
like
still, and
nobody I've
he's
seen
like just such
before.
a fashionable person too. He always dresses like he's slick.
Yeah,
He looks
he said,
good. Yeah.
"Prison ain't gonna stop me."
It's true. It's true.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. And we're going to
Thank
wrap up this
you.
episode. Everybody, thank you to Cori Thomas for being here and Echoes of Society. And my name is Jesse Ayers. And thank you so much for joining us. And take care and God bless you. And if there's anything that, you have a family member or a friend that's incarcerated, there's opportunities. If they can get to a prison where there's programming, they can be creative. They can become the person that, that they are. A lot of times grandmothers and mothers see their son for who they are, and they can't understand why people don't see that person that they gave birth to. But I believe that there is opportunities, and there's second chances. And just because a family member or loved one goes to prison doesn't mean it's over. And even if they're not ever getting out again, they can always mentor somebody else and be a help. Like there's plenty of other people I didn't name in this episode who helped to build character in me and help me become the person I am today. So thank you so much for the work you do. And all right, have a good
Oh,
night.
can I make a little plug actually to
Yeah,
anyone
sure.
who might have a family member who's incarcerated who might get involved? Because many prisons don't have media centers, don't have that kind of program, but people have ideas, and
Yep.
there's talented people all over the country and all over the world
Yep.
who are incarcerated. We have one competition that is open to all prisons, and that is our pitch competition, which means that somebody can write basically 5 pages of the idea and mail it in, and that goes to the jurors as well, and then the best one wins.
Awesome.
So what they can do is get somebody, a relative or whoever has access to the internet, to go to our website. The call is probably not going to be out for next year till like maybe April, but
Okay.
May or March or April. But go to our website and it'll tell you how to submit for that. So these people could write. We got from 7 prisons this year
Dang.
submissions for our pitch competition. Even Pelican Bay, I
Yep.
think, sent us three people. So I mean, people all over the country. I think there was one in like Mississippi or something, one in Tennessee. I mean, people were sending these pitch competition entries from all over, and it was somebody from Chowchilla who won. But I think we had a finalist in Alabama, I think it was. So
Hmm.
anyway, people can submit, so that's something people can get involved with.
I'll add the link in the little bio under the episode. But for those who watching, like, what is the website you guys have?
It is sanquentinfilmfestival.com. So it's very easy, sanquentinfilmfestival.com.
Yep. Awesome. And I know for myself, when I was in the prisons that don't have programs, and you're sitting there and you're just writing, and you got a story idea. I still have my first like little manuscript, if you want to call it that, on brown paper written with pencil. It's like
That's
97 pages. You know what I mean? And I keep looking
awesome.
at it every once in a
That's
while. I'll dig it up
wonderful.
and I'll go,
That's
oh, I should type this up,
wonderful.
but I haven't done it yet. But I've
Yeah. Well,
saved it.
you
So
will. You will. You will.
yeah.
It's one day at a time. You just wake up and do it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You just have to do it. And then the
Yep.
next day you do it again. You know what I mean? You just keep
Yep.
doing it. Even if you give yourself just 1 hour a day, for 1 hour, I'm just going to write this thing. And
Yep.
then just do that 1 hour. Then the next day, another hour, and it'll build and you'll do it, you know?
Yeah. Is there anybody else or anything else or any mentions or?
No, I think that was the main thing, because that when you talked about people who were, you know, if
Oh
they
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have programs or whatever, I was like, that's a way that people who might have a story that's itching to get out and they really want to tell their story, that is a way to do it and to participate,
yeah.
even if the prison they're at doesn't have a media center.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm telling you that would, for me, if I had a family member say, "Hey, I heard of this film festival, 75 pages about that story you're writing, and I'm going to submit it online for you."
And it's
That
just 5 pages you need to submit.
that would be the
Five.
most encouraging
That's
thing in
all
a
you
dark
want, it's
place. Like
five.
that would just heal my soul for that moment. I'd be walking the yard next day with light in my heart, walking around
Yeah.
with hope. You know?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. That was one of the first things Erlon did a CBS interview where he was talking about Ted Koppel was saying, well, why do these guys all have smiles in San Quentin? I don't understand. And he goes, they got hope. You know, that's the one thing you have when you're there is hope, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And I mean, San Quentin used to be the most notorious prison. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
level 4.
Yeah.
It was the only one with a death row.
Yep.
You know, the execution chamber. I had a tour way back when it was still called prison, because now it's called rehabilitation center. I
Yep.
mean, I went in the room and saw the chair and, you know, went everywhere. You go in the dungeon, you go everywhere, you know, back there,
Yep.
because it's also the oldest prison in California.
Yep.
So, you know, I mean, so it's really changed
Yep.
so much from, you know, back in the day when it was
Yeah.
first started.
And for those who don't know or watching this, maybe for the first time, the dungeon is actually a place underneath the old hospital, which has been
Yeah.
a refurbished hospital. But the dungeon's still there. It's literally,
Like an old thing with the shackles, like you see,
yeah,
people used to be shackled
yeah,
to a pole. The pole is there where they were shackled. It's
yeah.
like scary to go in
And
there.
it's like we passed by the backside of that, which you normally don't get to go around. But during
Right.
COVID, we were escorted up top for MAC
Mm.
meetings for the Meds
Oh,
Advisory
wow.
Council. And
Yeah.
we would see that the caged front of that rock
Mm.
stone,
Mm.
you know, cave
Yeah.
or dungeon you called it, and go, no way, that's really right there. Like I didn't believe it till I saw it. I didn't even go in, and it looked scary enough. And
Right. Yeah, because you guys always go up the other way. You didn't
yeah,
used to come up that
we,
hill.
we go around the steps down the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
side of the
yeah.
hospital. Yeah, up top
That's
they call
right.
it. I'm going up
I
top.
went up that way one day and I got so lost. I'm like, I don't know where I am. I was looking for the library and I'm like, I don't know where in the world I
Mhm.
am.
Yep.
So,
Awesome. When I get this fixed up, I don't know if I'll edit too much. I like our conversation, you know, the back and forth and everything seems great. So, but I'll send you a copy for sure, and then let me know what you
please, I
think.
would love that. Thank you so, so
Okay.
much. Thank you very
No,
much, Jesse. It's been
thank you,
really
Cori.
wonderful having this conversation. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.